Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my opinion on, I guess, the maps inside the newest DLC 3, of course the maps from the Tortured Path, and I just decided this would be a better video to make because I've been a little confusing in my last two videos, because in one video I'm praising this map for really changing up zombies, and the other one I'm hating on it for having what I would say is the worst Easter egg ever, which in fact I've actually completed more recently, just to let everybody know. But of course, I just wanted to give my, I guess, full opinion on this map, just kind of going over absolutely everything I like and I dislike. I'll first start off with my likes and my dislikes, then after that, of course, I'll tell you what my final opinion is of this map, because I think I have already like 13, maybe even 14 hours on this map, so I got a pretty good idea of how exactly this map is. And yes, this will be including the survival maps, because I've gone back and played those a little bit, so I have a pretty good idea exactly how that is going to be, really. But with that said, let's actually jump into this, and like I said, I'm going to first start off with my likes. So one of the main things I really liked, and this is probably one of the saving graces of this map, is that they really changed up zombies, and this is just kind of repeating what I've said in my first video talking about the map, because they were willing to actually change some of the fundamentals and just how zombies normally works to fit this new zombies story that they're telling, or just mode that they're playing, or I guess we are playing. And I really do like that. I really do like the change up in the gameplay. I like how you have these objective waves where you have to go and do certain things. Of course, there are some annoying ones, but I don't really care all that much for them. I mean, they're a little difficult, but I don't have a problem with that. And then, of course, the boss fight at every single round 11, and of course, if you fail any of these, the game will automatically end. And I like that a lot. I really do like these changes, and I've had a lot of fun playing them. I do also like just farming these engineered parts. I do think it's a really cool thing to do, just farming for these engineered parts at whichever map you really want. And I just really do like how this mode works. I do like the new Tortured Path mode, because I guess that's its own mode, because you have the Tortured Path mode and then you have the Nazi Zombies mode. So I really do like this, and I absolutely adore that's the wrong word. Well, it's not the word I want to use here. I really do well, I guess appreciative that they are actually willing to change up zombies into their own thing and not just continue to copy Treyarch's formula. You don't just change it up, make your own formula, because this is the problem with every single zombies mode that's not Treyarch before, because Treyarch, it's fine if they continue their formula, because that's their formula. But when Sledgehammer Games and Infinity Ward comes in, I really think that they need to change up the formula a lot, and not just in aesthetics or the story or something like that, because that's going to happen anyways. In fact, Treyarch is already doing that themselves, because if we wanted to just see an aesthetic change or just a story change, then we would just wait for Treyarch to do that. We don't want to see somebody else just do that, because it's not a big enough change. And that's what I'm really appreciative of more than anything about this map, is that it's really willing to change up some of the formulas of zombies, and I absolutely love that about this, and it's so cool. And this is the reason why I'm willing to forgive so many things about this map, because just how willing they are to like change it up. And considering this is the first time it's ever happened, I can forgive a lot of different things that's happening inside this map. But another thing I really like are the new random wall buys. I really like this. Honestly, I don't know, I almost like it more than the mystery box mechanic. I really do. I do like this mode a lot, because it's a random gun, but it's in a certain type of gun. You have the starter room weapons, and of course you have, after that, you'll have your SMGs, assault rifles, LMGs, and I absolutely love this system, because this is like really cool for a lot of different reasons, because obviously it's not going to give you the same gun every time, so it does mix up the gameplay, so you don't have to just play it one way every single time. You don't have that option anymore. But on top of that, you could get the what do they call, the jack-in-the-boxes randomly from this, and of course if they continue to do this, then they can add more things like that. Just like instead of spinning the box for the wonder weapon or something like that, you just spin through these random weapon machines and then you'll get it. Or even the supply drops that come into the map that will also let you get the wonder weapons and things like that, and I really do like that. I think it's a really cool system that I hope to see again in the future, because I just really do like the random wall buys. I just really like them a lot. One of my favorite things they've added into this map, and it's just, I don't know, it's just so cool. But another thing I want to talk about is just the objective mode as a whole, and the reason I like it so much, again, is just because it's changing the formulas and everything. I pretty much already said everything I really want about the objective modes, but again, there are some annoying things which I don't really like, but for the most part, it's really good. But the thing is about these objective modes, it's not the only way to play it, and of course, right now, you have to beat the Easter egg and get the cutscene in order to play the survival modes, but of course, in the future, they'll release it to everybody, and I'll get more into that in a little bit. But of course, I just think it's really cool that it gives the option to play the maps in the normal way, I guess the normal survival zombies way and all that good stuff, and just lets you play it like that for the, I guess, the people who don't really like the changes all that much. They can just still have something to play, but they also have this objective new formula changing mode, which I think is just really, really cool. So I do like the option of having a survival mode, and of course, on top of that, you have this new objective mode. I really, really do like that. And actually talking about the survival mode, they've actually been a thing of controversy lately because a lot of people were saying that they should have been released right when the game was out, and I disagree with that. In fact, I really like how they're doing it more than anything because it's a really cool reward for the people who complete the Easter egg. If they do complete the Easter egg, they get these survival maps. I really do like that, and I think it's a really cool idea, but I don't think this should stay permanent. So I really like the idea that once the Easter egg was completed, then everybody would have the survival modes unlocked. I really like that idea, and that's kind of what they're doing here. They said in, I guess, in the, what was the right word? I'm not the right word, just the word they used. I'm not exactly sure, but they said once somebody completed the main Easter egg, they're going to work on a playlist update in order to add the survival modes for everybody. I really like how they did it because I do think that they shouldn't have added in the survival modes right away because they want people to try the new mode, and if people saw something they weren't too sure they liked, they would just go to the thing that is more of a safe bet. So I do like how they implemented it, even though a lot of people didn't, but personally, I think it was a really cool choice, and I just like how they did that, so I don't have a problem like that like a lot of other people do. Now, another thing I like, and this is very rare for this, but I also really, actually, I'll come back to that in a second. That'll be the last thing I talk about for my likes. But actually, before we move off the subject of the survival maps, one thing I actually really like about the survival maps is just that there's Easter eggs on the survival maps. Like, there's an Easter egg to get the sword, Barbarossa's sword, on the survival maps. Now, I don't have any gameplay of this because when I did it with the team I was playing with, I actually wasn't recording. I had the software open, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't have it open. But it's really easy, and of course you can look up tutorials how to get it, and I really do like that. I like that there's Easter eggs even on these survival maps, because if there's one, well, I guess I have many complaints for World War II zombies, but one of them is always that there's a lack of side Easter eggs, and this is really nice to see that there is a side Easter egg in these survival maps in order to get the wonder weapon. I really do like that. I think it is a really, really cool feature just to have inside of it, and I'm sure they'll find more side Easter eggs inside the other survival maps, or even continued in the third chapter or whatever it's called. I think it's the Altar of Blood or something like that. No, Altar of Blood, that's what it's called. But for the last thing I really like about this mode is actually the Chapter 2 Easter egg. And I know a lot of people said, or I said myself, what am I saying? I went and said that I didn't like the Easter egg at all, but there's one thing that I was kind of leaving out, and that was Chapter 2's Easter egg, and the Easter egg step where you go underwater. My gosh, was that a cool Easter egg. I just really like that step so much. It's just so cool. It just put a smile on my face going down there. I enjoy going down there every single time. Now, getting there, that's a different thing entirely, but just actually playing the Easter egg and getting to that step is just so cool. It's just so fun, and I really do like it a lot, and I think it's one of the cooler things they actually did with the Easter egg, or maybe even the only cool thing they've ever done with this Easter egg, and it's just so cool seeing Straub again, and it's really interesting for the story, considering that the characters we were playing as shouldn't have even seen or heard any of this, but for some reason they're seeing this, because the people who heard and saw this were actually the normal crew, but in this map, or the second chapter, you were still playing as the other crew, or whatever they're called, the Bat Crew, whatever you want to call it. So it's really interesting for the story. Maybe I'll make a video talking about it if I could actually figure out something about it and come up with a theory, but we'll have to see for that. But that's about the end of the positives, and unfortunately, I'm going to say right away, I have probably double the amount of negatives of this map, because there's a lot of things I don't like about it. So the first one I have, like, my biggest gripe, actually not the biggest one, I have a lot of gripes, but this one is pretty annoying. But I do believe that the individual maps, because we did get 3 different maps, I do believe, especially chapter 3, they should have just been bigger. Like, some of these are smaller than multiplayer maps, and I'm really disappointed with that, because I was thinking that, yeah, we'll have 3 different maps and they'll be much smaller than a normal standard map, but these are a lot smaller. My gosh, multiplayer maps are bigger than this, and I'm really disappointed in that. I wish that they were a little bit bigger. I'm not asking for that much. Maybe just not double the size, but, you know, just give it one more half of what it actually is. And I think that it'd be much better, because it feels like these places are a little too small for my liking, especially when you're playing on co-op. You're always seeing somebody, you're always running into your teammates, just especially when you're trying to survive, and I really don't like that. Maybe for survival maps they could have stayed this small, but as these 3 individual maps, I do believe they should have been a little bit bigger, and that's something I'm not the biggest fan of. And that's well, I guess that's what I'll start it off with. But going on to the next one, this one I'll try to just skip over real quick, because I spent a lot of time talking about this, and this is the Easter egg. And I know a lot of people already saw my video on this, and I already said that this is my least favorite Easter egg of all time. This beat Buried, which Buried had that spot ever since 2013. It took 5 years for someone to beat it, but somebody finally did. And of course, this is coming from somebody who just recently beat the Easter egg, but regardless, I still dislike this Easter egg more than any other Easter egg ever. And I know there's for all the reasons I've said, but this is one I've left out, because I really am disappointed with how the Easter egg was done, because I don't like the idea of 3 different individual Easter eggs for each map. I would have much more preferred this more connected Easter egg, and I know they kind of are, and they're all just getting the parts and giving them to the characters at the last map, which I'll get into in a little bit, but at the same time, they did feel very different, and it's actually, they are different Easter eggs, because I know I'll get into this now. Actually, we'll just talk about it right now, because it is important to show you my point here, because the thing is that we just did the exact same thing we did in the 3 maps all over again. All we did was collect the 3 parts again, and then this time, instead of just leaving Rithurdu on a boat, or excuse me, a jeep, you actually built it, which we'll get into in a little bit also. But I just don't get why we just did the same thing over. Like, the first 3 maps, we just repeated them here, and I just think that's so dumb. Like, why was that a thing? Why would you do that? Like, I don't know what the point of the 3 maps we just did were for if we just did it again. It's like, okay, that's fine, but whatever. And this is kind of the problem, because they are different, even though, and what am I saying here, actually? No, actually. And this is a really big problem for me. I imagine a lot of other people. And because of this, it kind of proves my point that they are different Easter eggs entirely. They're their own things. And I really felt like these Easter eggs also should have been much more interconnected. Maybe them happening at the same time, kind of like how Ascension and 5 were, and stuff like that. But of course, that's just one of the many complaints I have. Now, the next one I want to talk about is the story. And oh my gosh, the story was a huge letdown in this. My gosh, man, this was a huge letdown. We didn't see any Atlantis stuff. We didn't see any Thrul stuff. Even though they said we're going to Thrul, which actually translates to the farthest place north. Guess where we went? We went the farthest place south, which was Antarctica. And I don't get it at all. I don't know why they did it, but regardless, they did it, and I don't get it exactly. But of course, that's not the only thing. My gosh, the story was just so disappointing, especially that end cutscene. My gosh, we just built the sword. Oh, where are we going to acknowledge that in the cutscene? What the heck? Come on, dude. What does it mean now that we got the sword? I mean, we saw some flashy things under the ice, but what now? What's going to happen? I don't know. Do you guys have any idea what may even close to be happening inside DLC 4? I don't know. It looks like we're just going to have to wait till a trailer, and that's just so disappointing. My gosh, it actually is so disappointing. I just don't know. Like, why did we build the sword? What's the effects of this? We just don't know, and this is just so disappointing. And this this is something that feels like it's been going on for so long in zombies, ever since Black Ops 3, and people always complain about this game and Infinite Warfare, but Black Ops 3 did the exact same thing. It's all like, oh, collect the soul, let's go. Oh, collect the soul key, let's go. Oh, collect our crap, let's go. Or I guess the part of the sword here, let's go. And it's just the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, it just gets boring. It's just so boring, and I just don't get it, except I think that they've done it worse than anybody, because it's just like, we don't at least get a teaser of what's going to happen in the future, and they did that inside Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare, but not this one. Not this one. You just had them leave and not even suggest where we're going next. At least they did that with the, what's it called, the second, or I guess first DLC, the Darkest Shore, but I don't know, the storyline and cutscene have just been very underwhelming, to say the very least, of this map, and I just don't know. But anyways, the other complaint I have, and this is kind of touched on in another video, so I'll hurry through it again, but the lack of being able to get the cutscene on solo, 2 players, or 3 players. Pretty much the problem is that you have to have 4 players to complete this Easter egg, and I've already explained why this is a problem for streamers and all that stuff, but a major problem just for players in general is that you're not always going to have 3 other people who are willing to do the Easter egg with you, and that's just a huge problem, because instead of playing it when you would have gone for an Easter egg, you're not playing it and you're leaving out those people, and it's just a dumb idea. So just a complaint I've brought up all World War II Zombies season, and I'll continue bringing it up. I don't care. Even when the game is done, I'll still bring up that was a huge problem, and I would even argue what is really holding this mode back more than anything. I really do think that is the case. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the sword itself and how underwhelming the sword was. The sword was underwhelming both for the story and just gameplay. It was a bad wonder weapon. It was actually a bad wonder weapon. I mean, it stunned the zombies, and then you would swing at them, they would pop, and that's cool and all, but it's still a melee weapon. That's not exactly the best way to play zombies. You don't want to be close by zombies, because that's the only way they can down you, and I just think it's underwhelming, and I'm continuing to be very disappointed in all the weapons we have inside World War II Zombies. In fact, I would use a blunderbuss pack-a-punched over using this stupid sword. I mean, I'm just so disappointed. It looks so cool and it looks so powerful, and it's supposed to be so powerful according to the story, but it's just like not doing much. It's pretty weak. It's pretty weak, and I just don't get it. It's just very underwhelming for the gameplay and also the story, because I've already kind of explained this, but it just did nothing. We built it, and now what? Okay, nothing. Okay, but I don't know, the sword is very underwhelming for me, and that's what really killed it for me. Like, out of all the Easter eggs I've ever completed, this has to be the most underwhelming one I've ever completed, because it just felt like nothing happened. It's just like we repeated what we've done inside the last 3 maps, and then after that we didn't get anything special. The sword was assembled, but what does that mean? What is that going to do? We saw Klaus, we shot him, and that's it. But it's just like, okay, I don't know, it's just there, and I don't know what to think of it, because it's just very underwhelming. But, and, oh my gosh, but anyways, I guess the last 2 things I want to talk about is just, the public game is the only way to get the cutscene. I don't get why that's a thing. Why can't I go to custom games? I've already spent too much time, it doesn't make sense. Too much time, that's how you word that. Yeah, too much time talking about this in my last video, but going into a public lobby in order to get the cutscene is just dumb for so many reasons, because it kicks you out, and it's just so dumb. It's just probably the stupidest thing they've ever done, and I really do think that it would have been much better if you didn't have to do these Easter eggs in a row. It just would have been better for everybody, considering that these Easter eggs, and I've already talked about this in my other video, but considering these Easter eggs are so easy to fail, and if you fail the 3rd or 2nd one, then you have to redo all of them. It's just like, no, not my cup of tea, not my cup of tea. I'm not even British, but I'm saying a British saying. At least I think it's a British saying. I could be mistaken. But anyways, the last thing I want to talk about, and this is something that has been true all World War II Zombie season all World War II Zombie season long, and it's always the lack of just being a content creator friendly, or just content friendly in the first place. Like, just think of anything you could do. Like, the story is underwhelming, so you can't make too many videos on that. The gameplay is okay. I mean, the wonder weapons are really underwhelming, and that's something that people really look forward to. High rounds is underwhelming. The Easter eggs are underwhelming. I already said the cutscene, so that's part of the story. story, and it's just really underwhelming. And the only way to enjoy this is to play 4-player co-op or somewhere around there, at least co-op in one way or another, and that's just not content friendly. And this is a huge problem for video games. I got a comment on my video talking about how I just think it's not a good idea to be content friendly, and they thought it was okay, but I have to strongly disagree, excuse me, because if your game is not content friendly where people can upload videos and stream your game, it's just not going to make your game very popular, and a lot of people aren't going to play it because they don't see any other people really playing it, and that's a huge problem, and it's existed ever since the first map, and it just hasn't changed at all. It's just still not being content friendly, and I just think that is a huge letdown. It's a huge letdown because it's just, I don't know, it just is. But anyways, I know I spent a long time talking about the downsides of it, but I guess it's time to go ahead and just talk about the last thing, and that is my verdict on this map. And even though I've had more things to say negative about this map than I have positive, I can forgive a lot of them, and that's been the story because that's always been a thing in World War II, so I'm not going to judge the entire game off of that. I'm not going to judge the non-content friendly, I'm not going to judge the non-solo friendly, I'm not going to do any of these other things because that's a World War II zombies problem, not the tortured path problem, because that thing's existed the entire time. And on top of that, even the Easter eggs not being that great and being my least favorite Easter egg of all time, I can't forgive this. And the reason why I'm so willing to forgive so many things from this map, including just absolutely everything, is just that they were working with something we've never seen before. This was a new way to play zombies, and that's why I'm so willing to forgive so many things that's happening inside this map and so many negative things, because they just need to find a way to make this work, this new mode. And I do think if they continue this, which I do hope is going to be the case, I do think it can get better and better, and then this could become Sledgehammer Games' version of zombies. They won't have to continue making a clone of Treyarch zombies anymore, and they can make their own version of it. And I really hope that's what continues to happen, because I just really like this way that how zombies plays inside this game. I really do like it, and I really hope it continues. And again, I wish it just started like this from the very start. But if I had to give it a rating, I would say it's a pretty good map. It's just a pretty good map. I enjoy playing it. I like playing the game with other people, not too much by myself unless I'm just grinding for engineered parts. But besides that, it's still a really good map. I do like it, and I would give it I would say, just comparing to other World War II zombies maps, I would say it's the second best map out there. I think the Shadow Throne is the best. Then after that has to be this one, the Final Reich, and the Darkest Shore is by far still the worst. The Darkest Shore, hate that map still. Disgusting map. Will never forgive it. It did everything possibly wrong. It's just so bad in every way, shape, and form. But regardless, I do think that this is the second best map inside World War II zombies, and I do like the uniqueness of it, and that's why I'm willing to forgive so many flaws that this map has, because if you're starting something new and trying to adapt different things from your old model, it's just not always going to work, and you have to find a way to fix that. But anyways, that's my opinion on this map. I know this video was a really long one, but I just want to share all my thoughts and opinions on this, and most people aren't going to watch this point, but I did think it was worth making the video this long, just for you to get all really my insights to this map, just to know where my thought process is coming from and all that good stuff. But if you guys did enjoy the video and you guys want to see more content, not really similar to this, because I don't normally do videos like this, but more content relating to zombies as a whole, especially Black Ops 4, and probably the rest of World War II zombie season, then go ahead, subscribe, bell, share, and especially bell. But I'm going to go, and I will catch you guys in my next stream or video.